could have got us. I'm buried under a bunch of overhead.
Chilling calls for help. Stunning images of damage.
We'll be talking about this event for the rest of our lives.
And the realization that life for many was forever changed in a matter of minutes on March 3rd, 2020.
People have no idea of what their next steps are. People have no idea of if they'll ever be able to move back to that community.
Neighbors who were left with nothing, asking for only one thing.
We just need prayers. That's the biggest thing that we could ask.
But the volunteer state did what it does best.
I want North Nashville, I want Donaldson, Hermitage, I want them to be strong. And if you can't be strong, then find someone who can be strong for you.
Over the next 30 minutes, we revisit the area's hardest hit and the people who lost the most to find out what the past year has been like for them. A year of grieving.
I went from crying to angry to blank, sad.
A year of rebuilding.
I guess we like a good fight. You know, I don't know, maybe we're just stubborn. It felt like we had to rebuild.
A year of recovery. Welcome to this News 2 special presentation, Tennessee Stronger, a year of recovery. Here's your host, Alex Dennis.
Hi everyone, and welcome to News 2 special coverage marking the one-year anniversary of the devastating and deadly tornadoes that tore through our area. I'm Alex Dennis. I'm here in East Nashville, and I'm standing in front of the East End United Methodist Church. This church took a direct hit from an EF3 tornado. The strong winds peeled back the steeple and the bell tower, and the iconic organ was also damaged. But the spirit of the congregation, well, it lived on. Moments ago, they were here for a special service where they remembered the 25 lives lost on that day 1 year ago. We know that East Nashville took a direct hit, but it wasn't the only area in Davidson County that saw extreme damage. We are going to take you on a tour tonight using the footage that News 2's photojournalists captured in the immediate hours after the tornado last year. We start here at John C. Toon Airport. This location was first to take a violent blow from the storm. More than $90 million in damage was done. North Nashville was next in the tornado's path. The storm damaged farm facilities at TSU, and dozens of homes between I-40 and Buchanan Street were also damaged. The path then continued into Germantown, leaving behind severely damaged apartment complexes, destroyed homes, and debris everywhere. The tornado then strengthened, making its way into East Nashville. Sadly, 2 people died near the Five Points area. Several businesses and dozens of homes sustained heavy damage. The tornado then crossed the Cumberland River into Donaldson, where it eventually strengthened, leveling homes in the Stanford Estates area, and left significant damage at Donaldson Christian Academy. The school building is still in the rebuilding process a year later. Meanwhile, Nashville Mayor John Cooper had been in office less than 6 months when the tornado hit. The mayor marshaled emergency responders. He toured the damage and sought emergency funds immediately. Now, a year later, News 2's Bob Mueller sat down with Mayor Cooper, who talked about that tragic day. He talked about the recovery and what lies ahead for Nashville.
It hit in the middle of the night, the worst time possible.
1 o'clock in the morning, there was terrible noise.
It was a deadly storm, claiming 25 lives, including 2 Nashvillians.
I thought an airplane had crashed.
And it was a destructive storm, causing $1.6 billion in damage.
And just to see it was just kind of surreal.
The recovery has been long and continues.
We have tried very hard.
For Nashville Mayor John Cooper, the March 3rd tornado would be the first of a series of natural, economic, and social disasters. But at the time, it was the most pressing.
I do think at this point the human problem from the tornado has been addressed. If not, people find me on Hub Nashville and let me know.
The recovery began quickly, thanks to the people of Nashville.
So many people delivered meals, picked up debris, brought plastic tarps to cover up houses. It was an act of so many individual human kindnesses that is, and can't really be counted, but that's the measure of a great city.
Acts of kindness that were repeated and repeated.
And weren't even asked. You know, how many alleys did I see get cleared just by people showing up who owned a chainsaw and a pickup truck and they knew people needed help.
There was criticism from some tornado victims who felt they were forgotten only days after the storm when the coronavirus pandemic hit Tennessee. Mayor Cooper does not believe that is true.
What happened with COVID is we happened to come across a whole lot of other people that needed to be served too, but we got it all done for everybody as best we can in a functioning city.
Rebuilding happened in the middle of a pandemic. Mayor Cooper says with vaccines now available, change is coming.
I think once people begin to get out and really connect in person for the first time in the coming months, you're going to detect an energy and a pride that has been earned.
Mayor Cooper looks at 2021 as the year of Nashville's rebirth.
We've parked it for the last year. We're ready to go. And we've got a lot of businesses that need help, but we've got just a lot of energy that's right under the surface. I think you can feel it. We're going to have an incredible decade.
Bob Mueller, News 2.
Last year's tornadoes also tore through Wilson County, devastating several neighborhoods there as well. Well, we spoke to some neighbors who say that really created a lifelong bond. We want you to meet these two. Marilyn and Bill Wilmert emailed our very own chief meteorologist, Danielle Breezy, after the tornado to thank her for helping keep them safe during the storm. And that is when they shared their story of their neighbors becoming lifelong friends. And Danielle Breezy now explains what makes their bond so incredibly strong.
It was the scariest thing I've ever been through. I didn't think we were going to make it. We no more than hit the closet, and you could hear everything in the house, and I could hear glass breaking. It was scary.
What Marilyn is talking about is the early morning of March 3rd as the EF3 tornado came roaring at her home in Lebanon. 2 houses down, her neighbors Dale and Jamie were hit by the tornado too.
Oh yes, it was it was something hopefully nobody has to go through in their lifetime, but once is enough, I think. You know, I spent 40 years in the fire department taking care of other people. This one I had to come out and take care of us, and take care of our neighbors. So it was a lot closer to home. And
we came out of the bedroom, of course we had to get shoes on, and walked into here, and there was glass, like the front door had been blown in, and there was glass all the way over to the middle of this room. And it was just like, where did that come from? And then you realize the whole front door and glass had been blown through.
Meanwhile, Marilyn and her husband Bill were literally trapped in their homes thanks to all the debris.
Thank God we've got good neighbors. I mean, just beautiful neighbors, and just everybody came to and went outside and surveyed the damage. Yeah, we couldn't get out of the house.
Both of their homes were heavily damaged. In fact, Bill and Marilyn's home was soaked thanks to a gaping hole in their roof lifted off by the tornado. Luckily, they both had good insurance, and while they waited for their homes to be repaired, they stayed at the same hotel.
We started out meeting, just comparing notes, and then we would shop together. Ended up getting a lot of the same things. So then we added a glass of wine, and then we added cards, and we'd play cards about 5 nights a week.
It was during these card games that their friendship grew, and they became super close.
Because we can count on them, and they can count on us for whatever they need and whatever we need.
It brought us together as best friends. I don't think I would have made it through as good as I did if we didn't have them.
No, there's no doubt.
The way that they helped us, it was amazing.
Even though March 3rd may have been one of the worst days of their life, they found good and a positive light to it all. True friends.
As far as really getting to know them and becoming dependent and best friends with them, it's just wonderful. I mean, I really wouldn't change it.
I look back at it, it was a horrible thing that happened, but I look at us now and I think we're so lucky.
Oh, what a nice perspective. Tragedy bringing beauty together in those friends. We wish them all of the best. You know, it was a really tough journey for one woman. She watched as her roof in her home collapsed on top of her, and then she was forced to leave the rubble behind. Next, we take you to Putnam County as News 2's special continues. Tennessee Stronger, a year of recovery. In Putnam County, a very somber day for many as they reflected on the 19 people killed during the storm last year. 2 neighborhoods were hit incredibly hard by the EF4 twister. Many of the fatalities occurred on Hensley Drive, where nearly 17 homes were completely leveled. Of the 19 victims, 5 were children. These crosses were put up as a memorial last year outside of the courthouse, where they stood for 19 days. Another display of crosses was put up near one of the hardest hit subdivisions. One couple's home literally started crashing down on them during the storm. Tonight, they're reflecting on the emotional year that has passed, sharing with News 2's Julia Palazzo their journey to move into a new house.
The race against the unimaginable.
My phone went off. I was in bed with my daughter, Lily, and my phone went off, and usually Ted's the weather guy, so I usually depend on him to tell me, is this bad? What do I do? But he wasn't home.
Terry McWilliams only had seconds to act.
I just really felt like the Lord just said, go, get your kids and go. Like, this urgent, we have to get to safety.
But for their middle son, it was a close call.
Once he came out of the hallway, I went on down the stairs, and then he ran back to grab a blanket. And when he came, he said when he was running down the hallway, the walls were falling and the roof was going.
The basement, their only chance of survival, as the home collapsed around them. Husband Ted was in Chattanooga.
You know, it was surreal. You just like, this can't have happened.
The very next day, their family, church, and fellow staff at Tennessee Tech were there to help.
I'm kind of like, no, we got it. We're good. We're good. And she told me, she said, you're going to let people help us right now. I said, you're right. You're right.
That same support system still checks in as they prepare to start their next chapter.
Like, how you doing? And all the rest. Like, we're good. And, you know, with the rebuilding the home and getting everything cleaned up, it's going to be 2-3 years before we can get, you know, all the trees and debris and stuff still removed.
We had the lady who made our wedding cake, made a duplicate of the layer of our wedding cake for our anniversary. So everybody just using their gifts and talents to love us in their own way.
At the same address on Clemens Road, where their world turned upside down.
I really struggled with that decision, just out of a lot of fear and just the memories of that night. And with another storm, you know, what if another storm comes? And we've dealt with that. I mean, it's really post-traumatic stress all year.
I said, you think about it, and if you want to, we'll stop what we're doing, we'll sell, and we'll find some place that, you know, the memories aren't there. And I think it was about, 2-3 days later, she said, I just need to hear that. And I said, well, good.
The courage to rebuild, with no guarantees that another morning like March 3rd won't happen again.
Sometimes I'll just stop and just like, this actually happened right here and such. But then I'm just kind of more of move forward, you know, can't change the past or anything. It may have been different, I think, if I had been here or something, but I kind of think, well, we got, you know, a task ahead of us. Let's go ahead and keep on going with it.
Moving forward, regardless of how long the road ahead might be, the definition of Tennessee strong. Reporting in Cookeville, Julia Palazzo, News 2.
Our special coverage of Tennessee Stronger Year of Recovery special continues tonight. Revisiting the moment he watched a tornado track toward his home, this National Weather Service meteorologist shares his never-before-heard story next. And we take you back to the building featured in this iconic image for another tale of tragedy and triumph. Now to a story that's never been shared from the March 3rd tornadoes. National Weather Service meteorologist Matt Reagan was working that night, responsible for issuing the tornado warnings many of us heard. And while he was closely tracking the tornado on radar, he noticed it was headed towards his home, where his wife and 2 children were sleeping. Reagan shared his chilling experience with News 2's Davis Nolan.
There's the National Weather Service's NEXRAD Doppler radar, and Matt Reagan was inside this building operating it and issuing the tornado warnings.
The supercell, we were tracking it all the way from the river. I noticed around John Toon we had the debris signature. We got the tornado warning out. At that time, I called my wife and told her to clean the closet out. And at that point, she knew it was serious because I had never called her to tell her that. So she kind of prepared. And then when it got a little bit closer, I told her to go ahead and take shelter. She went over to the neighbor's house. And the storm continued through Hermitage and the Mount Juliet. I have a little place marker on my radar program where my house is, and so I could tell it was going to be very close, very close. And so one scan of the radar came in, and it was pretty much in the neighborhood, so I knew it was going to be a very close call. Once the next scan came in, I tried to call her. Couldn't get through. The cell towers were down, obviously. But I did send a text, and about 10 minutes later, she did send me a text saying that they were okay and the house was okay.
So what was going on in Matt's mind, knowing he still had to do his job and save lives of others in the path of the tornado?
It was tough, trying to, again, act professionally. Like you said, there were other people that needed the warning, and, there was plenty of phone calls coming in from damage from, over in East Nashville and downtown. We were getting those reports. So I had that, but also obviously in the back of my mind, waiting to hear from her. And once that text came through saying that they were okay, it made it a lot easier to, kind of take a deep breath, refocus, because, things were still going strong. So the tornado did go through the neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood close to West Wilson Middle School, which was hit. The tornado went about 200 yards to our south. So on our side of the street, we had nothing. Our neighbors on the other side of the street had trees blown down going to the south from the inflow of that. I would say there's probably about 30 houses that were torn down in my neighborhood. The top rated damage in our neighborhood was low end EF3. So it was, once I got off around 7 or 8 o'clock the next morning, going home and seeing that, it was definitely surreal.
And Matt says he's like everybody else. You never think it would be your house or your neighborhood. So what's his advice?
I would say have a plan. That's something that we do preach, but that is something, I talked to my wife afterwards of, her saying, well, I don't know what we would have done if that was our house that was destroyed. So, I think now we're more prepared, if there's a tornado watch, go ahead and have a helmet in the closet you're going to go in, have shoes, have a flashlight, all that stuff ready to go in your safe space ahead of time. So when you do get the warning and it's at 12:30 at night and you're disoriented, all you have to do is get yourself to that safe place.
Great advice from a meteorologist who has seen it from both sides, on the radar and then in his own neighborhood. I'm Davis Nolan, News 2.
From being a symbol of the March 3rd tornado destruction to a symbol of recovery, it's been a long year for the Basement East, the building taking a direct hit during last year's storm, but its iconic I Believe in Nashville mural was somehow left untouched. Neil Orn spoke with the Basement East owners about their struggles and triumphs during the past 365 days.
The storm clouds had not yet cleared when a beloved East Nashville music venue broadcast a message many needed to see at just the right time. I believe in Nashville. Today, Basement East has another message. We made it back.
I'm super excited. I just started getting excited this week after one long year. Trials, tribulations, it's so... I cannot express how just incredibly joyous it will be to be able to reopen.
This year, co-owners Dave Brown and Mike Grimes have barely had time to process what happened, but they were compelled to lead.
So you're seeing the outline of all this devastation and then this message of hope.
This beacon.
And that basically put us in a position where, I want to carry that torch of hope.
And give two guys that love this city and possess 2 lifetimes in the music industry the chance to start from nearly a blank slate, and they not only rebuilt, but improved everything. Clear views of the stage everywhere inside. first-class musician facilities, showers, a washer-dryer. That's going to put a smile on any traveling musician's face. And an experience for customers like few others, all while saving favorites that survive the storm. Little things, little important things that provide a living history of a live concert hall.
It's so important to me that the stickers survived because those are little messages in a bottle from time, from bands that have come in here and want themselves to be known. And they have survived and stayed with us. And we'll have more, hopefully over the next 10, 15, 30 years.
Basement East will open with a DJ, some of the best space to socially distance in East Nashville, inside and outside, and hope to inspire confidence. Safety has been at the forefront of each and every decision.
There are people who have to put their toe in the water as far as getting back out and going, you know what? You can come in here, be socially distanced, have you a drink, and run into a few friends, and until we get, and then we'll do some limited capacity seating shows as well, and just ease into our regularly scheduled programming.
Well, we're going to open with all of the safety protocols. We want it to be as safe as possible.
But all eyes here are on the future and bringing back their passion of putting musicians in front of fans and making performers' dreams come true.
Regular touring on this level could be kicking, in the summer, which is, whoo. That to me is like, and I'm speaking for me, but I think I'm speaking for both of us, is like, actually I could shed I'm about to shed a tear. So, yeah.
It's everything we've loved and worked towards for over 15 years, taken away twice through the tornado and through COVID, through nothing that we did ourselves.
She gave one of the most memorable interviews following the tornado last year. Up next, we head back to Delano Ridley's front porch for a lesson in staying optimistic during the worst of circumstances. Welcome back to Tennessee Stronger Year of Recovery. As we reflect on the past year since the March 3rd, 2020 tornadoes, we'd be remiss if we didn't revisit the front porch of Miss Delano Ridley. She lives in East Nashville and has now seen not one, but 2 tornadoes hit her neighborhood. She survived both the tornado of '98 and the tornado of 2020. March 3rd, by the way, just so happens to be Miss Ridley's birthday. This year, a year wiser, she has some new perspective on what she's been through.
Really, I thank God for friends like you.
Yes, you too, my friend.
People with smiling faces. That's something, isn't it? It's awesome. I don't want to see another one.
No, I think you're good. We hope Miss Ridley will be sharing her 2 tornado stories for many birthdays to come. Thanks for joining us tonight. To view all of News 2's incredible Tennessee Stronger stories, head to WKRN.com.